So now we are going to make chocolate oil cake that uses eggs. Okay, so this is a pretty simple cake to make, and we are going to divide all the wet ingredients separately and then sift all the dry ingredients separately, and we are going to make a well in the center of the dry and then pour the wet and then have a hand beater to beat. You could use your stand mixer as well, but hand beater is quite fun because you're not going to beat it for like too long. In the wet you will find water, but that is going to be added at the end. So water and the coffee powder should be added. So heat the water and add the coffee at the end to add it into the batter and then beat again. So now the ingredients I have here are the sugar, cocoa powder, all-purpose flour, and for the dry I will be mixing the baking soda and the baking powder. So I will sift these four together and then add the sugar into it. So that will form the dry. Now for the wet, I have milk, vanilla extract, egg and the oil. I will be whisking it together and combining it to be one liquid ingredient and then make a well in the dry and then pour the wet, beat and then get the hot coffee at the end and then beat. Okay. So let's start making the cake. So let me keep the dry. So I have a bigger bowl. Into that I'm going to add all-purpose flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, so sifted all of them together and setting that aside. Now into dry here I need to add the sugar because sugar wouldn't pass through the sieve, right? So once the dry is except the sugar, you sift everything to get rid of the lumps and then add the sugar and use a wire whisk and then mix it. Okay, and now create a well in the middle and then set it aside. Now in the other bowl I'm going to add in the egg, break the egg, add the milk, vanilla, and the oil. Okay, so now into the dry I'm pouring the wet. I'm just going to fold. Moisten up. Now I'm going to add the beater. Okay, so you have the batter like this after beating the dry and the wet. Okay. Now to this I'm going to add the hot coffee. Now I have got the water very hot. And to this I'm going to add the coffee powder. Mix it up well. I'm going to pour this into the batter. Now once it's roughly combined, and then you can use the beater because you don't want the water to just spill over. Once it's roughly mixed, I'm going to use the hand beater. So the batter is done. I'm just going to mix it up and show how the final batter looks like. So this is a pretty runny batter. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. Okay, so now I have the prepared baking pans, and to this I'm going to divide the batter between two 6-inch cake pans. So this is a very light batter, yet to be safe. Just tap it down to get rid of any bigger air bubbles, and this should go into the oven to get baked at 160 degrees Celsius on a preheated oven, and it could bake between 25 to 30 minutes because we are sending in 2 pans at a time, right? So the baking time would vary. Now you will wait for the toothpick to come out clean after 25 minutes. Keep a check to insert the toothpick into the center of the cake. When it comes out with little bit of wet crumbs, not wet batter, if you know that there is wet batter sticking to the toothpick, then you need to send it back into the oven in 3 minutes burst, and keep checking after every 3 minutes. When you have the toothpick inserted coming out with little bit of wet crumbs or clean, then you know your cake is done. and then you take it out and then cool it on the wire rack. Now let me put this into the oven and then get back to show you how this cake is baked. So the cake is baked so beautifully. I'm going to put the toothpick in the center, and you know, when the toothpick comes out clean, the cake is baked well. I'm going to allow this to cool down. It's like really hot, it's come out of the oven. Cool down for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to cling wrap it and then store it in the freezer. To know the steps of exactly how you need to store them, you will be following the next lesson, and store these cakes in the freezer until we are ready to layer them.